All right, what is up, guys? It is the long-awaited return of the Glacier Guys podcast. It's been a long time coming. I think our last episode was late 2021. I know you kind of continued a little bit on your own there when you were at Moraine, but
Uh-huh.
as always, I'm Ethan Holesha,
And I'm Joey Fernandez.
and this is the Glacier Guys podcast with video for the first time.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
before we had a higher quality audio system, but this is the first time you guys are really seeing us. So. I guess, to get things started, another heartbreaking Bears loss. I don't really know what other way to put it. It's kind of just been the story of the season so far.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, going from 4-2 to 4-7 is just and it's an unreal break, but at the same time, as a Bears fan, I feel like this is where we've all been before. Obviously, it's the
Right.
scenario is a little different. Depending on how you're looking at it, you could see it as an encouraging thing, as far as like the outlook of the long-term future of the team, because obviously this season's basically over if we're being realistic. I
Absolutely.
mean, their ceiling is 10 wins technically, but I think realistically their ceiling is more like seven, maybe eight at best.
Yeah.
Especially with the grueling schedule of playing the Vikings again, the Packers again, and then the Lions twice. Like, I mean, good luck. But
Yeah. It doesn't
um,
help when we're in the, most talented division, hardest division in football.
yep,
And we've played both teams to the very end. And it's funny, going into the season, I was hoping myself personally for 9 or 10 wins. That would be a great
yeah,
season. And, after starting the season 4-2 and almost winning that Washington game, that feeling before the Hail Mary happened, I was like, we could easily be a 10 plus win team. But,
hmm
ever since that moment, the wind has kind of been taken out of, the Bears and their fans' sails, I'd say.
oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, like going into the Commanders game, I've never been more excited for a Bears game since probably 2018 or maybe week one 2019, I'd say, honestly. So it's I mean, like you said, the wind got taken out of the sails, but at the same time, there is room for encouragement. I'd like to say pretty confidently at this moment that I think the Bears have a quarterback as it stands. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean that's kind of where I think the conversation is worth shifting to, just because I mean obviously there's holes throughout the team. The defensive line needs work. The offensive line did play surprisingly well today, especially for the fourth ranked defense that they were facing. And I think something that I saw that I thought was honestly pretty funny is uh, there's like the way a litmus test for a quarterback is how much Brian Flores respects you. Like how much he shows that he respects you, like with his game plan. And at first, you could tell he was trying to test Caleb a lot, as far as just trying to see if he was going to respond well to the blitzes. And in the first half, I want to say he was 6 for 7 for over 100 yards against the blitz. So he he kind of started leaning back a little bit and started dropping more guys into coverage because he was dicing them up pretty well. So
Yeah,
it's good to
and
see.
I think up to this point, kind of just building off of that, Caleb has not been the problem this season.
No,
And when they were blitzing, he was stepping up, he was running the ball when he had to. I mean, that
hmm
one play where he hurdled the defender, I mean, he looked
yeah,
like he was Lamar Jackson out there for a play.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I do think, obviously he was one of the biggest quarterback scouts out of college since, whoever you want to say. But it's I don't know. I almost feel like this season was lined up too perfectly. Like I know
hmm
that the Bears fans always get their hopes up, but it's like, Caleb is walking into a situation, like the best situation a rookie QB's ever had. And, say what you want about, the wide receiver core, whatnot. Caleb has showed up and, he's made rookie mistakes, but at the same time, those things are just going to happen. I looked, at some of the stats after the game. Caleb was sacked 3 times. Obviously, on was it the last drive of regular? No, it was the first. It
no, it
was
was
the
first
drive
drive,
in
yeah,
overtime when he took that sack. I mean, that's on Caleb. You got to get rid of the ball. You got to find something to do. Like that's a rookie mistake. And like you said, the offensive line played pretty well today. It's just, the Bears are just finding new ways to just irk their fans. Like just even with the field goal being blocked again, it's like, kind of a flashback to last week. You know, and we were talking earlier about when they elected to go for two, and at first I was kind of questioning that, but analytically it does make sense to go for it in that
Hmm.
situation. So yeah, it's just like I feel like when the defense shows up, the offense doesn't, and when the offense shows up, the defense doesn't hold their own. It's like something's always holding us back. When one side's performing, maybe the other side's a little lackluster that game, but
Yeah.
just another frustrating loss. But I even told you guys, I said, no matter what happens, like Chicago has their quarterback. We
Yeah.
we have we have a guy that when push comes to shove, if we need to score on the last drive of the game, we have someone more than capable of doing that.
Yeah. No, yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's also just proven to be extremely clutch in the fourth quarter so far throughout his career. I mean, he's led I I wouldn't call today a game-winning drive, but he's led three game-tying slash game-winning drives already in his career. We've lost all three of them, but
Yeah,
I mean,
somehow,
he's at
some
least
way.
proven that he has that clutch factor, and he steps up. Even when he's had a rough game like the Commanders game, he still stepped up on that last drive to give them a chance to win the football game. And that's really all you could ask for in that moment. So it's encouraging to see. Um, he I know there was a lot of discourse going around about his deep ball going like the before the past week or so, just being a little inconsistent and the timing just seeming to be off sometimes. And today he had some real tight window throws down the field. I think the most impressive one may have been the DJ Moore one to get them in field goal range at the end of regulation, which it might not have been the most impressive throw, but I think the circumstances behind it added a lot more to it, just because they got lucky enough to get the onside kick in general, and then for him to make that throw right off the rip, I mean, what more can you really ask for out of a quarterback, especially a rookie?
Yeah, dude. You know what? It seems like those scenarios give Caleb that extra step. Like he looks a little faster. That ball's coming off
Hmm.
with a little more zip. Like that throw across the middle, dude. He launched that ball. Like he
Yeah,
he fired it in there. And it's like the Washington game, the Packers game. It's like when you need to get down the field, he's that guy. And
yeah,
at times, like when the offense is struggling, or if the wide receivers are struggling to create, separation. It seems like Caleb's the guy that's like trying to start the momentum. Like he'll pick up that 10-yard run. He'll lower his shoulder and take a hit if he needs to. And
yeah,
I think that just shows a lot of who he is as a person on the field. I mean, to be a rookie and to arguably be the leader of the offense, like personality wise, it seems like he's the one that's always communicating. And obviously you want that with your quarterback, but it's like
yeah,
it seems like he's stepped into that role more than a DJ Moore, more than a Keenan Allen has this season. And say what you want, and the field's truthers or what anything going into the season, it just seems like Caleb has some of these, aspects to his game that we haven't seen from Bears quarterbacks before. And for the Bears, it's a great thing.
yeah. I mean, he's definitely put all that to rest, I think, easily. I think that's well gone, or we're well past that as a fan
Right.
base, I'd like to think. But it's it's interesting. I mean, there is a few critiques, obviously. There's like, as far as the play calling goes, I want to say Thomas Brown had a near flawless game, honestly. There was the third down call around midfield, the third down screen to Cole Kmet. I know it seemed like there was some sort of miscommunication with DeAndre Swift as what the play call was potentially, just because he kind of turned around like it was a screen to him, and then the guy on the outside DB ran through and tackled Cole. But at the same time, they ran that play against the Colts and the Jags on third down while Waldron was still the OC, and it didn't work either time. So I really didn't love that. But besides that, like I really don't have many complaints, which is really nice to say. It's honestly refreshing to say the least.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. And it's not like we need those Caleb's gonna throw the ball 40, 50 yards down the
Yeah,
field. It's like he's scheming up those 15-yard passes, the 20-yard passes. It's he's really opening up the field for Caleb, I'd say.
yeah.
It's I don't know, it's just nice to see it. And about that play, the screen pass where there was some confusion. I mean, if Swift was getting that ball, it's not like we were gonna get the first down anyways.
No.
But yeah, dude, the 2 weeks has it been now that he's been our OC? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's
Last week and
it's
this week, yeah.
I mean the offense, it's like night and day. It looks like a different team. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we saw what Jackson Smith said in that interview, like good
Yeah.
luck Bears fans, but it really does it seems like a new team with this new OC. And
Yeah.
obviously Caleb's been great, but he still is missing some open guys. He's
Hmm.
still having some overthrows. Maybe he's, a little needs to get a little bit more comfortable in the pocket, but I mean, he hasn't played a full season in the NFL yet, Like
Yeah.
this is his first rodeo. So it's tough to critique him too much. And, even going forward, yes, he's still missing some throws, but when he needs to make those throws, he's stepped up in the big moments.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think he gets a little, I don't know. It seems like when he misses the deep ball, it's always to Rome for some reason, and I think that's more of a coincidental thing than anything. Uh,
Yeah.
because it's like it's not to say like Keenan Allen is better downfield than Rome Odunze because he's just not. But at the same time, it just seems like it's always him for some reason. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still encouraged. I'm not really worried about that. I just think Thomas Brown is doing so much better at playing to his strengths.
I think so too.
Because it's almost kind of flipped so far in the NFL. I don't think it'll always be this way, but his biggest critique coming out of college was that he struggles with the quick game, like the easy throws, the timing throws, and he's really good at making the hero plays, like the 50 yard bombs and all that stuff. But it's almost
Right.
kind of flipped in the NFL where his strength has been the quick game, which is nice because it's you kind of need a quarterback sometimes just to be able to take that 4 to 6 yard gain on first or second down and make it a shorter third down and distance. So
Yeah.
that's kind of helped the offense just be more efficient in general, even through just simple mental errors that we had. Like I don't know what it is, but this season, what it's uncharacteristic just overall with how his career's been. But Keenan Allen's just had a few like mental lapses, it seems. Like every once in a while, like once or twice a game, there's just like something that happens where it's like you don't expect that out of him. The out route later in the game, where he didn't get his head around quick enough. It was
Yeah, that
like
was strange. It kind of looked
it
like
was
he
super
he
odd.
was turning back, but then he like stopped himself. Like it was
Yeah.
weird because it looked like he turned back, but clearly he didn't see the ball coming. So I don't know if, there was a mental lapse there maybe, but yeah, I
Mm.
don't know. It could be that he's in a new system, with a new team for the first time. It could be the fact that he's not a wide receiver one, like,
Yeah.
technically on a team anymore. He's trying to
Like
find
he's
his place there, but
yeah,
yeah.
like he's not in a
Um,
rhythm as much ish
yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. And it's tough he's been in the league for a while, but it's still tough when you switch teams and switch conferences. There's a lot of differences there. One thing I will say though is, Caleb has missed, Allen or whoever's running some out routes, like he overthrows them. I'd rather have that than you underthrowing it and it falls right into the DB's lap. It seems like every missed throw by Caleb is either like a little too high or a little too far. So it's not like, he's I don't know how to really explain it, but he doesn't really underthrow anyone, which I do
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, he kind of makes it like it's the receiver or nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing is he really hasn't put the ball in harm's way like it's been very rare if at all, honestly. I know I saw a stat that this is the first time that the Bears have gone 5 consecutive games without an interception since 1932.
Oh my
Um
gosh.
it's a little bit, I want to say it's a little bit skewed just because the last like week or two of Waldron being there, it seemed like Caleb was like just kind of being playing like he was afraid to make a mistake. But these past 2 weeks have been like legitimately like he's taking risks down the field or just in general, and he's still not putting the ball in harm's way. It's
Right.
been exceptional, honestly. He's done very well in general. It just I think in the fourth quarter, the past few weeks, he's had zero turnover worthy plays, and he's I don't know that he's had many at all just in general.
Right.
Which
Right.
is all you can ask for, especially out of a rookie. It's unbelievable how advanced he's shown to be just at maneuvering an offense just in general. So
Yeah. And, you even said this earlier in the day. I mean, he's clearly the most talented quarterback that's coming out of this draft. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
obviously, Jaden had a great end to that game, even though they lost. But,
hmm
he's been a kind of one side of the field throw merchant, whatever you want to say. And he's a more mobile quarterback than Caleb. Not to say Jaden's not a good player, because I still think he's a good football player. But, you know, Caleb just seems to, I don't know, just something mentally, and even watching Hard Knocks, just the approach that he has. It's like
yeah,
he really wants to be here, and even though he knows it's a challenge. I mean, any quarterback that's getting drafted to Chicago, just you have to know the history and the stigma around that.
yeah.
And obviously what's our record now? 4-8, 4-7,
4-7,
four
yeah.
and seven. I mean, obviously, this season isn't what it was supposed to be. Um, but like I said, we have the most talented division in football, and Caleb's shown us more than I think we even needed to see to be excited about the future of him with the Bears.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's the thing that separates him from the rest of the quarterbacks in the draft is just the elite traits that he has that others just don't have. Like it's kind of something you're born with. You can't really teach. As far as like the arm talent goes, like there's tight window throws, and I saw like some people saying like, "Oh, those should have been interceptions and stuff like that." But that's just stuff that like he can flat out get away with that others just can't. Like for others, they may be interceptions, but the velocity that he generates, especially on the run, I know that he was standing in the pocket for that one, but just in general, the velocity that he generates while throwing the football is just it's kind of I don't want to say it's unmatched because there's obviously guys like Josh Allen and stuff, but he's like right up there with them. Like he he can make special throws and what with touch. So I mean, we
Yeah.
saw that on the Swift throw. Just yeah, unreal play. I mean, that drive in general, like I don't know that I've been more juiced up on an offensive drive in a long time with those two throws.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was insane.
Like you said, the touch, he does look comfortable out there for the most part. Like obviously he was getting hammered like this whole season.
Yeah.
While he's back there in the pocket. But today only sacked 3 times, one of them arguably his fault. Um,
hmm
when he has time and when he has protection, I mean, there's not many quarterbacks I would take over him right now. Seriously.
No, no. Yeah.
He looks great back there. He looks like he's been in the league for 5 years. So,
Yeah. It's
um,
it's just so nice. Like just sitting there and it's like say like I don't know, like a 3rd and 8 or more, and you're like, I actually feel like we have a chance to convert right now. It's not
yeah,
like a cross your fingers something so terrible is going to happen that just catastrophically that's just a disaster and ruins the game completely kind of thing, you know?
yeah. I
And
don't know. I don't know what the stats have said this year, but it feels like we're converting more third and longs than ever up to this point of the season.
yeah,
Like like just watching the game, and like you said, I have more confidence if it's 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 10. It's like we could seriously convert this, and I'm not really stressing too much about it.
yeah, no, yeah, no doubt. I mean,
And
uh
there's been a lot of near misses too.
yeah,
Like when we don't get it, it's either off the receiver's fingertips or something like that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and he's making the right decision with the ball most of the time too, which is nice. I mean, he doesn't always it might not always be accurate, obviously, but it's I mean, he's still making the right choices. He's seeing the field like he's going to his third, fourth read if he has to. And that's something like I don't know that the Bears have ever had. I mean, Jay Cutler is somewhat, but like he was still just willing to rip it sometimes, even if uh even if it wasn't there. So
The
it's
back foot rips. Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean he also had a cannon too, but he was a little less he was a little more careless with the ball, I'd say. But
Yeah.
coming into today, opposing QBs were averaging a 79.4 passer rating against the Vikings defense, and Caleb finished with a 103.1. So, I mean, that right there is just encouraging in its own right without even say you didn't even watch the game. Just seeing that is really nice to see, obviously. And he's
Yeah.
also the only quarterback with 300 plus passing yards, two TDs, and no turnover against the Vikings this year. So, I mean, that's that's pretty
It's
damn
got
good
to
if you
say
ask me.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I saw that he broke the high benchmark of the all-time leader in rookie quarterback passing yards in franchise history of
Yeah,
2,200 yards.
yeah. What a high bar.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
Bears.
honestly he could have stuck with Waldron, and, and Waldron could have called his worst games ever, and he probably still would have broke it within the next like four. Yeah, I mean the defense though it does hurt to see the regression that they've gone through recently. I know Andrew Billings is out, which hurts the D line. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the lack of adjustments is just it's baffling. It really is. It's like I don't know what it was. It was 3rd and 10 plus. I know that in OT, and you give 15 yards for free to Jordan Addison on the boundary. Just like not even a threat to anything. They faked like they had two linebackers in the A gap, like a double A gap blitz. They were like trying to show, but they literally hadn't sent any pressure all day. Like I don't know why Flus thought that that would be the time they'd be like, oh yeah, like we totally expect you guys to blitz and not drive back into coverage, which is what they did, and they gave up a free 15 yards and a first down. Like I don't understand
Yeah.
that, you know?
And then the gain to Hawkinson after that kind
Yeah,
of, put them in the field goal range there.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just frustrating, man. I mean, Eberflus, I mean, he has to go. I think it's
yeah.
there's no other way. There's no salvaging his time with the Bears at this point. Just with the way the defense has looked, and it's hard to even blame the players. It's the play calling is just very, very suspect.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
I mean,
just like when we need them to step up, it's like giving guys soft coverage or not, putting the pressure on the quarterback when we're supposed to. It's very
yeah,
frustrating as a fan.
yeah. Like I can understand a little bit like as far as I think the secondary is elite. I think the linebackers are obviously good. They spent up so they should be, but the defensive line is not generating any pressure and that a part of that is attributed to Ryan Poles. Don't get me wrong. Montez Sweat has been a little quiet, but he's also getting the most attention on the D line. So that's somewhat understandable. You'd like to see a little bit more either way, because he was doing that with that attention last year while we had him. And uh, I think overall, it's like I just like to see the attempt at the adjustments, because Ryan Poles could have done a better job with the defensive line, sure, but it almost seems like you're content with just sticking to what your game plan is, and it almost comes off as a little bit egotistical because you're you're so you don't want to change your ways at all because the Tampa 2 defense that he runs is meant to be like a bend don't break type defense where you give up the short gains and just keep everything in front of you while not giving up the big plays, But at the
Yeah,
same time, if they're like when you're on 3rd and 15, you can't just keep everything in front of you if you're gonna play like a soft zone, like you said. So it's
right.
like
Yeah, it's
you
like
got to you got to mix it up.
you got to pick and choose.
Hmm.
And it's almost like Minnesota knew like already what was ahead of them. They knew what was coming.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and Darnold has time back there, and obviously he's having arguably the best year of his career. So,
yeah,
pro
for sure.
and Johnson and company held Jefferson to a pretty quiet day. So
By far is most of the day. I know he drew a couple penalties, but even then,
yeah,
like, I
but
mean,
that's
you
gonna
still
happen
take
when
that.
when
Yeah,
you're facing arguably the best wide receiver in football, and
yeah, no doubt. And
I
that
think
was JJ's first penalty of the season, the PI. So, I mean, or at least first PI of the season. I don't know if he's had like a holding at all. I think maybe, but
right, yeah, he's been elite. I don't know. Outside of that, I mean, we touched on Thomas Brown a little bit. I don't know. The
Mhm.
offense, it looks great. I don't know if he's, going to be the OC of the future or what the franchise plans on doing, but this is someone that we seriously have to consider as our full-time OC going forward, I'd say.
I honestly, potentially if things go the way that they are right now, for the rest of the season, I think yeah, I might even take it one step further and say he might be seriously considered as the head coach of the future, honestly. Because if he proves that he can put Caleb in a spot to succeed long term, for the rest of the duration of the season, like he is right now, I mean, I see no reason to break up that relationship, because if you bring in a different head coach, they're probably going to want to bring in their own guy, most likely, unless you hire a defensive guy again. But
Right.
I don't know that the likelihood of them doing that again is high, personally. So, I mean, I think he's worth at least a long an extensive look if he keeps having the success that he's having as a play caller at the moment, I'd say.
Yeah. And as an organization, I mean, the Bears, you can't turn an eye if the offense is just putting out every week and they're successful. And Caleb's come to the media multiple times talking highly of Brown, talking about the aura he has and whatever you want to say. I mean, the players are just, they seem ecstatic that this move was made. Obviously, you could see on the sideline with Waldron and just how the players were acting. And, I feel like mentally everybody's in a better spot now. And I mean, just the last 2 weeks, like we've said over and over again, the Bears look so much better on offense. They look like they're having fun. They're figuring stuff out.
Hmm.
Caleb's taking more risks. And say what you want about his hero ball in college. If he can make those types of plays, why not, give him a few opportunities to throw the ball a little bit downfield?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, of course. Yeah, a thing that I've kind of thought about in my head since the game's been over. Like, I wouldn't mind keeping like Eric Washington, the DC, around, and then just promoting Thomas Brown, and then maybe bringing in someone else as OC and passing game coordinator, and then just keeping some continuity with the team. Because the way I see it now, I don't think the defensive scheme is terrible overall. I think with an improved defensive line and being able to rush four more, just like spending some assets on it, I think it could potentially like it could be better,
Hmm.
because the defense has proven to be good whenever they get pressure. It's just without Billings and with the D line sort of regressing a little bit, I think it's kind of reared its ugly head a bit. But I think it's possible that the long term future of the team is in a good spot, especially with two second round picks, a top 12 pick now at the moment with that loss, which isn't bad. You can get a good edge rusher, or I mean even the best interior defensive lineman, or a great offensive tackle too as well. I mean, there's some good possibilities at that spot, which I'm not angry at all. I mean, especially with the spread stretch we have coming up, that pick could easily end up in the top 10, and we could get a premium type talent at a much needed position. So
Yeah,
feel good
I
about
would.
it.
I'd say that position is probably, top of the wish list, you could say, for the Bears going forward.
Hmm.
Has to be near the top. I mean, like you said about the defense, it's not like they've been horrible either. I mean, we have the
Yeah,
number one red zone defense in the NFL.
yeah,
That says something about the way that, they've been performing when they need to show up.
yeah.
So,
The foundation is there for sure.
right. Yeah, definitely. And we have a lot of talented players, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon. Um, Even Montez Sweat, I thought, he's that was a great move last year when we got him. That's, another piece we were missing. But, you know, yeah, let's just hire an OC that's going to be a yes man to whatever Brown says.
Yeah,
Just
right.
someone that could run the plays that he's been cooking up so far this year. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, for a 4-7 team, we're honestly not in that bad of a spot. It's going to be tough
No.
going forward with Jared Goff coming into his own at the age of 30 and, being with the Lions. Obviously, they look like they're going to be a juggernaut at least for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And the Packers solid with Jordan Love and company. I'd say the Vikings out of those three teams, I mean, they have the most uncertainty. going forward, just because is Darnold going to be their quarterback? Like what, obviously JJ's out for the year. Who knows how long he's going to sit behind Darnold? I don't know exactly what their plan is. I'm not sure if they exactly know yet either. I think
Yeah,
that they weren't, expecting this much success, I'd say, with Sam Darnold
no,
at the helm. So it's kind of like they have to reevaluate and see how the season plays out. But you
yeah,
know, Bears are
definitely.
4-7, but it doesn't help that we're in the toughest division in football.
No.
So, but yeah, all things considered, I mean, this loss didn't honestly feel that bad just because of the fact that Caleb, I mean, that last drive in regulation, I know it was one play, but it was ridiculous. And how did we recovered the first successful onside in the NFL
Yeah,
this year? So that was crazy. We got really lucky because that ball did not go 10 yards, but
yeah,
that was pretty sweet.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a game of margins in the NFL, and I mean, coming into today, they were a Hail Mary and a blocked kick away from being the sixth seed in the playoffs coming into today, and then they lose another heartbreaker today, obviously. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it really, I think it boils down to coaching and the lack of accountability throughout throughout the season from Matt Eberflus has been a little rough. They're
yeah,
11-point underdogs as it stands right now against the Lions on Thanksgiving. So uh, it feels like a spot where if some adversity strikes throughout that game, that it could be like a we quit kind of thing. Uh,
yeah,
that's which worries me a little bit, but I'm just kind of hoping that Caleb looks good, the offense can move the ball a little bit, and then the defense doesn't completely fold because with the way that they've generated pressure and going against the best offensive line along with maybe the potentially the best play caller in the NFL, it seems like a like a recipe for disaster. But we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic
yeah,
for a decent game at least. I'll say that.
yeah. I mean, this is the least confident I think I felt going into a game. The Lions look like the clear-cut best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
I just hope the offense, keeps continuing to make strides. Most importantly, Caleb as a rookie continues to make strides. Stays healthy, makes wise decisions. Yeah, just the main thing I want to see by the end of the season is, Caleb, he's already proven that he can win a game. There's been a lot of things happen out of his control, whether it be the Hail Mary or the blocked field goal. But by the end of the season, I just want him to like clean up some of those rookie errors and like, in the next season when it starts, just be a little smarter with the football. Start making more of those routine throws. Obviously, none of those are actually easy to make, but
yeah,
yeah, it's just everything we've seen so far. I mean, he's lived up to the number one overall title, I'd say, and then some.
yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I see no reason to waver on that whatsoever, and I think all of Chicago should be very encouraged by everything.
Absolutely.
Well, everything around him at least.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts on the game or anything with the Bears? Or
Um, Overall, not surprised at the outcome, especially the way it ended. But encouraged overall, and I think the future is set up with success as long as the right coaching is surrounding Caleb in the future. But you got a score prediction for Thanksgiving?
uh yeah, I mean like you said, this game could go south pretty quickly.
Mm,
In the back of my head, I kind of feel like that's what might happen. A lot of frustration. I mean, best case scenario, Eberflus gets fired after that week, but obviously we know how the Bears have gone
yeah,
about firing coaches in their history. They'd never do it in the middle of the season, but
yeah,
which is crazy. But I guess just thinking right off the top of my head, I'm gonna say 35-10.
okay,
I kind of hope that this is like, the game that kind of breaks the cool of the locker room in a sense, just so that Eberflus can get fired. But an optimistic score prediction would be us maybe losing by 10. But I'll say 35-10. That's what I think. What about you?
Okay. I was like around 34-17,
Yeah.
which is yeah, I mean we're around the same wavelength.
Hmm.
I mean, it is what it is. That's kind of where we're at this season, but I
Yeah.
just looking for encouraging signs from the players that are going to be around, which is a lot of them, honestly. Like the defense really has a lot of returning players next year, so just just some improvement by the young guys, and I don't want to see them completely quit, but at the same time, the lack of accountability from Eberflus, I don't think I'd personally blame them, you know.
I wouldn't
So
either. And
yeah,
if that's what it takes to get him fired, then so be it.
yeah,
In a season where you're 4-7 and you have all these competitive teams in your division, all we can hope for is to see those young players kind of take those next steps and set
mhm.
themselves up for a successful and hopefully a lengthy future here in Chicago.
Yeah, no doubt. But
All right,
yeah,
yeah. So it was great to be back for the first episode. We're gonna post this on YouTube, I'd imagine. And we'll kind of just figure out our weekly schedule as we go along. But just to get back into the swing of things, it's been Ethan Holesha,
and Joey Fernandez.
and we will see you guys next time on the Glacier Guys, the return, the finally the return of the Glacier Guys podcast.